back and check out the RCWR show with Lee Sanders. Get fun, in-depth coverage and analysis from the latest in professional wrestling in AEW, WWE, NWA, Impact Wrestling, or the world of entertainment. From hit TV shows to your favorite sports like the NBA or NFL. All things music, movies, and beyond, while trying to make sense of this crazy world we live in. All while keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive since 2011. And now your host, live from the nation's capital of Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders. It's time.
Hey, boys and girls, what is going on? Happy Saturday night to you guys. Hope you all are having a fantastic weekend. For the weekend of June 7th, 2025, Lee Sanders with you guys for a special post-show edition of the RCWR show. We are covering Money in the Bank Fallout. We are also covering the WWE Worlds Collide event that had went down. Interesting. I want to apologize right now to our Facebook audience. Hopefully our Facebook audience, everything's going to be all right with them. But it looks like the connection to our Facebook audience, it may have been interrupted. Hopefully that will be resolved automatically in a few minutes. But it seems like for all the other outlets, we are definitely good to go. Come one, come all, sound off. Let your man know what you thought about tonight's Money in the Bank pay-per-view event. If you also want to talk about the AAA/WWE Worlds Collide event, you're definitely in the right place for that as well. I thought it would make more sense to talk about both events on one show rather than it be a separate thing. So hopefully makes sense to you. You all right with that? Good. Look, and without being long-winded about the WWE Worlds Collide event, let me just say, the way this was produced, I gotta say, loved it on so many levels. I really did. It was a breath of refreshing air. I couldn't help but chuckle a little bit, though, particularly when I learned out leading up to Worlds Collide that Vikingo is now the AAA. Well, I have lost track of how many championships is running around there in the AAA promotion, but correct me if I'm wrong, guys, while we're live on the air. Otherwise, I'll have to circle back later on and find out. So Vikingo took the World Heavyweight Championship, I guess the Mega Heavyweight Championship. He took some heavyweight championship off of Alberto El Patron, Alberto Del Rio. And if you're looking at that, you're going, yeah, kind of seems like that the powers that be in WWE are literally going, yeah, Alberto, there's just no room for you in this new chapter for Triple Mania for WWE. Like, yeah, you know, we heard you over the years, some of the nasty derogatory things that you have said about WWE and the man with the big nose, as he's like to refer to him as over the years. I mean, he has said some really foul, and it's just kind of one of those, okay, is WWE really that? Do they really want to take on that type of baggage? Because that is definitely some heavy baggage that's going on there. Is it not? It's some heavy baggage that's going on. Probably not. So if it's not a sign that surely, eventually, definitely that Alberto has pretty much been sent his merry little way, I don't know what is, to be perfectly honest with you. So kind of interesting what's going on from that standpoint. But no, I watched the YouTube live stream for those of you that maybe were tied up with work, family, other commitments. I watched the YouTube stream for Worlds Collide. And I tell you, at one point, believe it or not, you had about almost 490,000 people checking out the event. You heard me right, almost 490,000 people. The lowest that I saw it viewership wise for the live stream throughout the whole broadcast, it probably dipped, I would say 400 and maybe 30, 440 thousand. But the highest that I saw was 490,000. That is pretty damn good. So definitely a lot of curious people out there. And if you're keeping tabs at home, I mean, let's take this to pretty much a larger scale. If you're thinking about the days of AEW Rampage, as I fondly do, especially because when I was a columnist over on the 401 Mania site for the duration that Rampage was on the air, I covered Rampage from the very first episode, which saw well over a million, all the way to the very end, the very last episode of Rampage, and definitely some growing pains there with the viewership. You could definitely make an argument that for this first Triple Mania WWE Worlds Collide event, hey, for them to get about 490,000 viewers, that's a pretty solid number. That's pretty good. I mean, look, let's be honest. None of us were expecting, at least I wasn't. I don't know about you all, but I wasn't expecting this live stream to get anywhere near a million and up. Realistically, I was thinking, maybe it'll get about 600, maybe close to 700,000 viewers. That's my honest impression. So the fact that it got close to 500,000, that's not really too bad. Yeah, definitely. I think as far as the people that checked it out, definitely those that love all things pro wrestling, definitely those that know what's what on the independents. And then I also wouldn't be surprised if you had, honestly, a vast majority of fans that's just, well, no, I'm WWE. And so anything that WWE is putting out there, I want to do my best to represent. I want to check out XYZ. And then, not for nothing, but it can also be a case where just out of curiosity to see the collaboration, just out of curiosity. So I would imagine it was a combination of all of those things. If I had to pick as far as like what was the vast majority of the fan base, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a curiosity just to see how it was. And I thought they did a really good job. I can't stress it enough. If you did not get a chance to check out Worlds Collide yet, and you've got some free time coming up in the next couple of days, you owe it to yourself. Definitely check out the event. Overall, very solid card. Going over the quick results here. Octagon Jr., Aerostar, and Mr. Iguana defeated the Latino World Order in a six-man tag match at 14 minutes. Solid contest opener. Stephanie Vaquer and Lola Vice defeated Tormenta and Dalsis in the tag team match that went about 10 minutes. I thought that particular match was going to be more higher up the card. I'm not sure about you all that watch, but I thought that was going to be further down the card. I thought maybe that was going to be the match before the main event, give or take, because all of these respected women, for as long as I have been on the air covering wrestling, I have heard these women like prior to the whole, in the case of Stephanie Vaquer, prior to her coming to the WWE, definitely Lola Vice, way before she came to the WWE, Chick Tormenta, all of them. I've heard these names in circulations in years prior. I just would have thought that with all of that star power that you had on the female side of things, it would have been a case where we would have seen this match further down the card, but they made that be the second match. But I thought the women hit it out of the park. Of all the matches for this Worlds Collide event, felt strongly that the women and the main event match, those were the two standouts. I mean, the card was great from top to bottom, even the middle section. But if you were to ask me two matches to really pick out where I go, no, this was hands down a slam dunk. Those would be the two matches that I would go with the most. By the way, how is the audio? Can you guys hear me? Okay. Make sure you leave a comment down below. Maybe I can try to real quick. That's the other thing. I'm getting used to this new setup that I have when I'm streaming the shows now because we hooked up with a new streaming broadcast partner. And I got to tell you, I love what was happening with the first stream. Everything went extremely, extremely good with the first stream. But let's see what's going on with. Can you guys hear me okay? I think I hear. Hang on, let me just crank up the volume. I got another monitor over here, so I just want to make sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good, good. You guys can hear me. Okay, cool, cool. That's what's up. That's what's up. Stephanie Vaquer, if there was ever a MVP for the month of June, it's got to be Stephanie Vaquer. I mean, man, I cannot sing enough praises for this woman. I just can't. I've already touched upon them already, but she is a force to be reckoned with, man. This woman has taken the wrestling community, the WWE community by storm. I mean, just everything about her, the look, the charisma, the personification, the ownership. I mean, she walks into that ring every single time like a boss. And the best part about it, it doesn't come off in a arrogant fashion. It doesn't come off in a bragging type of aura. None of that whatsoever. She just comes in there, does what she needs to do, and she is just winning people over match after match, week in, week out. I got to tell you, to kick off the month of June, she is definitely the MVP of the month so far. It's going to be interesting to see who's going to be a close, distant second to her. But to do what she did on SmackDown, then she goes into the Worlds Collide event. Then she goes into Money in the Bank. And we're going to talk more about Stephanie Vaquer and Money in the Bank because not for nothing, with regards to Money in the Bank, there's quite a few things that I did not like about Money in the Bank that I wish it could have been fine tuned more. That's just my personal taste. We'll talk about that more in a little bit, though. Um, Legado del Fantasma, they seemed so much more in their realm when it came to being here on Worlds Collide. They finally had a aura about them. And look, not for nothing, mad shout out to WWE because not for nothing, but in the weeks leading up to Worlds Collide, they've gotten more television time. You've seen it, right? You've noticed it, and they've gotten more matches and everything. But the totality of it all, to see how everything was presented with Legado del Fantasma in their match against El Hero, Wagner Jr., and Pagano, along with Psycho Clown there, as Legado del Fantasma picked up the win, six-man tag match, 15 minutes. I love the video package that was presented of Legado del Fantasma. That right there. I'm going, oh, who's legit? I said, who's these? Oh, Legado del Fantasma. Okay. And I was getting ready to dismiss them, but someone said, wait a minute, stick around here. You actually might be seeing something kind of good here. They felt more in their realm, and I love this. This felt more in their respected lane, and I enjoyed it on so many levels, man. I tell you what, you enjoyed that big time. Ethan Page retaining his NXT North American Championship in a fatal four way against Javon Evans, Laredo Kid, Ray Phoenix. Damn good fatal four-way. Great effort by all parties involved. Thoroughly had enjoyed that one. But yeah, man, El Hero del Vikingo, or Vikingo as I just call him, and Chad Gable. They put on a freaking classic match in the main event for the AAA Mega Championship. I had this brainstorm of a thought, which was as I was seeing the introductions for these guys, I was going, yo, what if El Grande Americano wins the AAA Mega Championship, and then we go into Money in the Bank, and Chad Gable wins the Money in the Bank briefcase? Like, oh, that is just like a mind fart, right? That is like head explodes. And I'm looking at this, I'm going, yo, this very well, like that's something that you have to entertain, right? Because it could happen here. And shout out to where's my guy? Where's my guy? He put out the best. Shout out to Eric on Twitter. He goes, if that happens, someone needs to resurrect Don West to make the call. He posted a gif of Don West high fiving Mike Tenay. Hilarious, hilarious. No, but I don't want to say match of the year candidate, but man, can Chad Gable freaking go? Can that man freaking go? I mean, he really took it to another level in this match with Vikingo. I mean, look, not for nothing, but we have seen over the course of the past couple of months now with Chad Gable slash El Grande Americano, this guy has really, with the luchador matches here and there and everything, you know, you're just looking at them and you're like, man, this dude, what can this man not do? Like seriously, anything that is asked of him, I mean, he's doing that and then some, right? You could almost say that the ingredients was planted a little bit when it came to the speed matches on social media. That it really kind of started from right there per se. But yeah, Vikingo, Chad Gable, really, it was a great match between those guys. I've been watching Vikingo for a couple of years now, and Vikingo, bright career ahead of him. Anybody that remembers my work from the 411 Mania site, whenever I would talk about Vikingo, one of my main concerns about Vikingo was, yo, why is this guy doing all of these crazy moves that he's doing on regular TV? Like, he doesn't need to do that. Like, you're going to do all that crazy crap. And for what? Just to give that quarter rating, you know, maybe a plus gain of 15, 20,000. But when it's all said and done, the total viewership for the night is under 300,000. And you're going to do all that crazy stuff. And then it's okay, well, what are you supposed to do by the time you get to a pay per view? What are you supposed to do? Because you don't already bust everything out on regular TV. So what exactly are you going to do? And time has shown that. That's not me being a dick, right? That's not me being, but when you really, as a wrestling fan, stop and think about it. You think about some of your favorite wrestlers. You remember seeing, wow, what a great unorthodox move set. Holy, oh, wow. You know, when you see it every single week play out on regular television, right? Yeah, maybe those first couple of pay-per-views you're on board. Then 3 months down the road, 6 months down the road, you're like, you know, like you're not as taken away as you were initially. And one of my major concerns for Vikingo was, yo, he needs to slow some of this stuff down because if he's not careful, number one, he's going to injure himself. And, you know, that did happen a couple of times. I know Rey Mysterio and Conan, at some points, they actually talked to him. You know, a couple other guys over there in AEW and everything was like, yo, you need to slow it down. Don't be doing all that crazy stuff. Dial some of that back and everything. Vikingo, very bright career. Very bright career. As long as he can stay healthy and not be spamming the moves out all crazy like that, the young man will be just fine. He definitely comes off as a solid successor to Rey Mysterio. I don't say that lightly. I've watched the young man long enough. There's definitely just a small handful from what I've seen over the years of men that I feel, you know what, if given the right position, everything aligns perfectly. Yeah, these guys, they definitely could be a good successor there for Rey Mysterio. But yeah, that's Worlds Collide in a nutshell. Solid event overall. You owe it to yourself. If you call yourself a wrestling fan, you really, you got to go out of your way. You got to check it out, right? Enough said about that. Check it out. Let's talk about money. By the way, major thumbs up for Worlds Collide. Scale of 1 to 10, 1 being crap, 10 being awesome sauce. I'm going to give Worlds Collide I'm going to give it an 8. An 8 out of 10. I can't go higher. I can't go lower. Let's talk Money in the Bank now. So, Money in the Bank. Where do we begin with Money in the Bank? First, breathe in, breathe out. Some things that went right, a lot of things that went wrong with this. Not really sure. Not really sure what's going on with this here, but yeah, to Samoan Watchman's point there in the chat about R-Truth. Truth meant to invade TNA, but he got it wrong again. Yeah, that's a nice little joke. That's a nice little joke. He went off screen and said, "My bad." Um, yeah, I guess. I guess if you want to kind of go in that direction, yeah, sure. You know what the hell. But Inglewood, California, Intuit Dome for Money in the Bank. I looked at some of the booking for this show, and I've never been so frustrated in my goddamn life. I'm being totally honest with you guys. Seriously, some of the decisions that was made from a booking standpoint on this show really left me scratching my head going, well, I don't quite understand. Money in the Bank ladder match for the women's championship match contract. Naomi is your 2025 Money in the Bank winner, defeating Alexa Bliss, Giulia, Rhea Ripley, Roxanne Perez, Stephanie Vaquer. First off, a lot of the things that went right in this match. All the women gelled very well, even for Alexa Bliss, who is still kind of working back into regular rotation. Even she seemed to find her pacing, find her footing and everything in this match. It seemed like all the women that were involved in this Money in the Bank, and keep in mind, this was Rhea Ripley's first ever Money in the Bank match. I thought she did very well for herself, but just look, let's be honest. We've seen some women's Money in the Bank ladder matches where we're going, uh, oof, that's pretty rough. Like, wow, some of these girls they don't really know, and it's coming off like they don't know what the hell they're doing. They're coming off like deers in headlights, all that loveliness. But this was a well-rounded, very, I think, a fair, balanced women's Money in the Bank ladder match. If I'm really stopping and I'm thinking about it, compared to the men's Money in the Bank ladder match that happened much later on in the night, I think we all could be in agreement that the men's Money in the Bank ladder match was good, but the finish to it, what a bad aftertaste. And as a result of that, it made the women's Money in the Bank ladder match overall edge out even more, like for great distance was the superior match compared to the men's. Okay. So thought that was good. Loved it when Stephanie Vaquer and Rhea Ripley had locked up a couple of times there. Thought that was pretty good. Everybody. And it made sense when you think about Roxanne Perez, when you think about Giulia, you look at the history that was going on there, incorporating Rhea Ripley and everything. I thought all of that just it fit perfectly, all things considered. Enjoyed seeing Naomi and Vaquer lock up at a couple of points. Everything flowed very well in this match. If I had one bone of contention to pick on with this matchup, it's the fact that okay, you're gonna have Naomi win Money in the Bank, which I don't have a problem with. I think Naomi is on a really good roll right now. Let's be honest. We saw what she was doing over in TNA as Trinity, and she was tearing it up. Became a knockouts champion. Everything was going good for this woman. And then ultimately, she came on back to WWE. It was ice cold for a good minute, was it not? Until she hooked up with Bianca Belair, and then it was okay. This is nice. It's great seeing Naomi get back into the regular groove of things. But for those of us that saw what she was doing over there in TNA, we're going, no, Homegirl is so much more capable of what's currently being given to her by WWE. No, Homegirl should be having a bigger chunk of that pie. She should be taking a bigger bite. Give her a bigger bite. She can handle it. And so to see Naomi in this position where she's the 2025 Women's Money in the Bank winner, I am so down for it. I'm so down for it. Right? Now the question becomes, so who does Naomi go after? Does she go after Tiffany Stratton and that championship? Or does she go after wow, I'm drawing a blank right now. Who's over on the Raw side for the women's champion? I'm drawing a blank. Wait, is it Liv Morgan? Seriously, I blanked out that quick. I don't know who the I think it's Liv Morgan, isn't it? Liv Morgan should be the women's champion. Or is she still holding the tag title there with Raquel Rodriguez? After a while, and it doesn't help that, like, whoever is the champion or champions, it doesn't help that we're not seeing them make frequent appearances and defending the championship and all that. But some nice little plug-in options that you got right there with Naomi. I would like to believe you're going to eventually have Naomi take the championship there off of Tiffany Stratton, while at the same time somehow incorporating our girl Bianca and Jade Cargill into the mix. Hey, I wouldn't be surprised if ultimately maybe there was some type of a triple threat match going on between all three of those women. Or if you want to put Tiffany in there and you want to somehow end up doing a fatal four-way, you could definitely do that as well. But I mean, the possibilities there, combinations and all that is definitely endless. If I had one bone of contention going back to that, I don't like the way everything played out with the finish to the match. Was not a fan of that whatsoever. And let's go over a little bit why I had some issue with that. Towards the end of it, we had Roxanne, Perez, and Giulia. They're brawling at the top of the ladder. Bliss ends up dragging Perez back down to the mat. Meanwhile, Ripley has her hands on Giulia. Ripley hits the Riptide as Bliss connects with the sister Abigail. Now we got Ripley and Bliss. They're staring off at one another. They end up climbing the ladder. Naomi tips the ladder, sends both of them crashing down. Naomi climbs up on the ladder, retrieves the briefcase to win the match. Now, some of you guys may go, okay, I don't really have a problem with that whatsoever. I got a problem with that. I'm going to tell you the reason why. You don't do what you did with Stephanie Vaquer in less than 48 hours by having her be involved in 3 matches. And okay, if you're not going to have her win the Money in the Bank match, okay, cool, but man, if there was ever that, here's the time where we really need to, everything that we've done with this girl, the way we've been building her up and everything, we need to put her in a position where, man, talk about an upset, like just from out of nowhere. Holy, oh, good God Almighty! If there was ever a time for some real shock and awe, especially if you're trying to sell the whole, hey, the momentum that's coming here with Stephanie Vaquer, and how, look at this girl, look at the great momentum that she's on. Like, seriously, this woman cannot be denied. There's just no stopping her. She's definitely the odds-on favorite. Like, what the hell? Like seriously, who's gonna stop this woman? I just kind of feel that with everything that's transpired with the character in the past 48 hours, it would have been a bigger, even more of an impact there if Naomi had got the best of Stephanie Vaquer. So at least that way, if you maybe wanted to circle back, to those two, particularly at a later date, you've already planted some seeds and everything, so you could definitely revisit it. That's just my wishful thinking. And some of you guys that hear that, you may be going, nah, Lee, I'm actually good, nah, it worked for me. But that's just how I'm looking at it overall. But look, make no mistake about it. I'm happy that my girl Naomi is the Money in the Bank briefcase winner. I think the recent turn around the corner that she's made in the past couple of months, I am thoroughly enjoying it. And to date, and as long as I've been a Naomi fan, this is one of her most memorable periods in her career right now. I personally feel she's definitely putting in some really good work. I'm definitely proud of her. Hey, real quick, if any of you guys are experiencing a little bit of buffering issues, just try lowering the stream quality or refreshing, and that should kind of help you guys out. Just wanted to say that before we continue any further, because I was watching the YouTube stream just now, and I was seeing that there's a little bit of lag that's going on. I think a large part, I know why the lag is going on, as and I really should have thought more carefully about this. So on my MacBook right now that I'm using to stream live, I also have on the same thing a video that's being uploaded to the YouTube channel. And it's been taking forever for that thing to finish uploading. So that's a big no no. So I probably won't be doing that again in the near future. So, FYI. So, sorry for any lagging that you guys are experiencing, but hopefully the video that's being uploaded is almost done. Appreciate you guys that's tuning in. We're streaming live on multiple outlets. Let's keep on rocking and rolling. Let's talk about the next match on the card here, which was the Intercontinental Championship match between Dominik Mysterio and Octagón Jr. It's pretty much was a result of what had happened earlier in the day on the Worlds Collide event. And I thought Octagon Jr. did fairly well here. I was never under the impression that the Intercontinental Championship match, the championship that is, was in jeopardy. Dominik Mysterio going over in about 4 minutes and change. Um, okay, match. Look, a great opportunity for Dominic Mysterio to spread his wings out just a little bit here. I more so wish that Dominic would have been more involved in Worlds Collide than at Money in the Bank, because honestly, this match with Octagon Jr., it wasn't needed. That's just me. That's just me personally. It was not needed. I thought it was generally a waste of time. Like, and I don't like saying that. So for the record, it wasn't that the match was bad, because it actually was not a bad match. Um, but at the same time, it wasn't quite a memorable match, if that makes a lot of sense. It was almost kind of as if you were watching, maybe a quick Sunday Night Heat match or a Superstars match, right? Something of that magnitude. So I kind of understood from the whole, okay, look, we did this thing earlier in the day where we did a WWE AAA cross promotion. So if you're kind of looking at it from a cross promotional standpoint there, bridging the gaps and all that for why this match was happening at Money in the Bank, it's like, okay, yeah, I get it, but ah, is what it is. Last chance match for the WWE Women's Intercontinental. By the way, that Dominik Mysterio, dude is just getting started. Dude is just, I mean, this man is really finding his groove on just all cylinders. Seriously, I am. And going forward, when it comes to WWE's partnership with the AAA promotion, I'm telling you, if you want to have somebody that can be that main antagonist, that can keep dipping into both worlds, the WWE and the AAA promotion, Dominik Mysterio is that man. I go back and I think about some fonder, cooler times in AEW when MJF could do no wrong, and they just had him intertwining with all different types of cats on the roster. I remember like at one point he must have like pissed off five, six different guys, and it's like, man, just the plug and play that we can do here with MJF, like this is awesome. And Dominic Mysterio is definitely he's in that same realm. He is in that same realm perfectly. So if there's anyone that I'm eyeballing and I'm saying to WWE, Conan and the powers that be in AAA, I'm going Dominic Mysterio. And I would imagine Conan's probably going, no, you know what? It's a no brainer, yeah, for sure. But I would like to believe that if they're thinking about, like, okay, who can we get to just keep bouncing in and out, you would like to believe Dominic Mysterio is that man. So we'll see what happens in good time. Last chance match for the WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship. Lyra Valkyria losing the championship to Becky Lynch. 15 minutes and some change. Final moments of this one. Lynch breaking up a count. Lyra hitting the Nightwing onto the floor as the women were fighting outside. Both of them, they barely managed to get back into the ring, just barely beating the count out. Traded a couple of near falls after that. Lynch pulls Valkyria's tights, trying to get some additional leverage. Picks up the 3 count that way. So yeah, did she cheat a little bit? Yeah, sure, she did. After the match, Becky Lynch, yo, no. Not only did I just beat you, but now you gotta raise my hand. Come on, raise my hand. And Valkyria is just beside herself. Loved how she was selling that. She did not want to. She looked beside herself, totally disgusted. Loved it. Reluctantly raises Becky Lynch hand. That should be the end of it. That should be the end of it. But Becky Lynch decides, no. I want to add some more salt to the wound. Now I want you to put that championship around my waist. And Lyra's like, yo, like, no, I've already raised your hand. Like, we don't need to do this. Like, no. And Becky Lynch, she's not having any of it. She refuses to let Lyra go until that championship is put around her waist by Lyra. Lyra finally caves in and does it, and then just for good measure knocks her silly on her Keisha and rolls out. In that moment, you could chuckle to yourself and say, "Did we just see a turn here?" No, you pretty much just saw, one good turn deserves another per se there. So This is a championship that somehow has eluded Becky Lynch. And you just kind of felt that as the weeks progressed, the more that you were going into this match, every time you were hearing the announcers just continue to say it's a championship that's eluded her, it's a championship that's eluded her. You're almost saying to yourself, well, think it's probably a no-brainer who's gonna win this match. I gotta say, I understand the whole hey, Becky has never. This is almost to a degree part of the problem that I have with some of the booking that's going on in WWE. Sure, you can make the argument that up until this point, Lyra Valkyria has had Becky Lynch's number. And if you're gonna do that whole last chance, well, my whole thing is sure it might be the last chance for Becky Lynch, so as long as Lyra Valkyria is the champion. But man, if I'm really trying to build somebody up, if I'm really trying to build up a star, somebody that I've spent a lot of time, a lot of resources on, and I'm trying to get them over like a mofo, and I keep having them in this program with this established veteran. Gee, I don't know if I really want to try to help solidify this particular person's placement on the card and in their position as champion and their position as fill in the blank. Gee, I don't know. Maybe this is something of a case where I'm going to have this person, like, how many times now have they locked up? Yeah, you know what? Every time they lock up, this person has their number. Like, it seems like this person can do no wrong facing all these other people, but it seems like every time they lock up with this person, man, they're never lucky. What the hell? I would have been fine with that type of storytelling. Now, at the same time, we've got a very cool dynamic going on here where if you're a Lyra Valkyria fan, you're going, okay, so what exactly happens from here for Lyra? Well, I tell you what, seeing a little bit of a mean streak come out of Lyra throughout this match, but then at the end, I definitely want to see more of that fiery side from her. I'm hoping that going forward, every single time Becky Lynch just shows up at the arena, she's just walking around, or she's having a cup of coffee, or she's getting ready to breastfeed her kid. I just need to see Lyra just out of nowhere on sight beat Becky Lynch down, beat that girl down. Okay? I mean, that would be a funny ass running gag where just on site. Oh, Becky's gonna be where? Becky's gonna be where? Oh, yeah, I'm gonna be there too. You best believe that. I'm gonna be there too. Yeah, that's how it needs to be. Because you gotta capitalize on this mean streak, that's now starting to come out here from Lyra. You gotta capitalize on it that way right down to the point. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe you had a scenario where there's a couple of girls backstage. Maybe somebody's throwing a little bit of a snicker or a little snide remark there about how Lyra couldn't get the job done at Money in the Bank. And Lyra just snaps. Like, she's not a bad guy. You're not making her a heel or a tweener. You're just giving her some rough edges. And I think that's definitely needed. I can definitely see Lyra stepping up to Becky Lynch and pretty much going, yo, I'm owed a rematch because not for nothing. It's not like I didn't hold that championship for a cup of coffee. I held it for a good minute. So I'm entitled to a rematch. I can see Becky Lynch going, no, right? Right? Because come on, look at the Becky Lynch character. Look at the current incarnation of the Becky Lynch character. This Becky Lynch character ain't going to be the type that's going to be, yeah, you know what? You do deserve a rematch. You do. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go talk to the general manager or Adam Pearce, and I'm going to go talk to them right now, and we're going to hook you up. Yeah, no, Becky's not doing that. I can see Becky being the type of individual Lyra, take your ass to the back of the line. You want to see me? You got to earn it. I can see her putting that girl through all kinds of hoops, you name it, to get that match. So, and as I always like to say at times, and I've been a sucker for this for years, the chase is better than the catch. I've always been a firm believer in that. So no other further thoughts to add to that matchup. We got at this point two more matches to talk about. Let's go there. The men's Money in the Bank ladder match: Solo Sikoa, LA Knight, Penta, Seth Rollins, Andrade, and El Grande Americano. Our 2025 men's Money in the Bank winner is none other than Seth frickin' Rollins, or in this case, Seth, oh no, Rollins. It's about 35 minutes for this matchup. So, man, I tell you what, social media was in a frenzy when it came to seeing Seth Rollins as the winner. Vast majority of the comments that's out there, a lot of people, um, and I gotta give the wrestling community a lot of props here. The wrestling community, you won't see one person go, Seth Rollins sucks as a wrestler. Not the issue whatsoever. You may see some comments where they go, Seth Rollins, he's such a boring character. You may see a little bit of that, but the vast majority of people are going, man, this was WWE's opportunity to try to establish somebody new, to really try and pay it forward. And you see some people out there with the snide remarks. Well, who were they supposed to? What were they supposed to do? Penta? Yeah, other people, what were they supposed to put it on LA Knight? And it's like, look, you had three viable, really good options. You had LA Knight, you had El Grande, Americano. Uh, we already mentioned Penta, right? But you had Penta, you had Knight, you had Americano. You could have went in any of those directions. And it's so interesting because when I was making my rounds, checking out what some of my friends and colleagues in the podcasting world had to say as far as offering picks, there was so much optimism in the air to the point that of those I checked out, I didn't hear anybody go, you know what, Seth Rollins is most likely gonna win this bad boy. Like you didn't get that impression whatsoever. Now, if you didn't have that impression, and in your head you're saying to yourself, man, how much you want to bet that maybe Sami Zayn or potentially CM Punk is going to get involved, and there's storyline continuity there. There's definitely consistency there, right? You got all that's going on. You're still continuing on per se the feud between CM Punk and Seth Rollins, this never-ending dance. Okay, yeah, so that would make a lot of sense for them to maybe get involved and make sure that Seth Rollins is denied, and then that way you're definitely guaranteeing that the three men that I mentioned, one of them is definitely going to walk out as your 2025 Money in the Bank winner. I couldn't help but look at this and go, well, damn, what's going on with Sami Zayn? What's going on with CM Punk? Are they like chilling at the hospital and they're up in bandages? They're stretched out on the bed and they're like in a coma. Like what's going on here? Because the last thing that I want to see, and I hope that the WWE booking, because not all of the Triple H and regime booking is on point. There's quite a lot of silliness, and this was downright silly. What had happened here with this men's? Don't get me wrong, solid men's Money in the Bank match. I loved it, even right on when Big Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker came out there, and they was just wrecking mofo's left and right. I enjoyed all of that. At the same time, I was expecting for CM Punk, Sami Zayn, expecting for them to come out. I love the touch of what's my boy's name? What's my boy's name? Jacob Fatu. I love the touch of him coming in there with Jeff Cobb. They wrecking havoc there on Bronson, Breaker, Jacob Fatu setting up the ladder for Solo. By the way, Solo overly animated like a mofo tonight. I enjoyed that on so many levels. He was, he's really leaning into the theatrics, which just makes some of the stuff that he does in his matches that much more memorable. I mean, am I wrong? Tell me I'm wrong. I mean, seriously, it's the little stuff that he's doing. It's hilarious. But we saw Jacob Fatu essentially karma being a you know what, kind of giving it right back to Solo Sikoa. You just knew that when Jacob Fatu lost that United States Championship, you just felt that for Jacob Fatu, payback is a dog. Like he's got Solo's number, and of all the times, of all the places, he picked the opportune moment to strike there on Solo. I love how he set the ladder up. Solo's confidently climbing that bad boy with such great swag. And Jacob grabs on that ankle. And I love Solo selling that. Like, what's going on? Is my leg caught up on a ladder? I just love how he was just overly animated and selling that and everything. Jacob Fatu messing him up. Really, really good there. But yeah, Seth Rollins winning it. Look, the only way this makes sense to me, because I know a lot of people were complaining about this, but we need to take a step back, decompress. For those of us that's getting pretty mad about this and everything, first of all, it's just a match. It's just entertainment now. But calm down and then now really, really stop and think about it, right? How does this make sense? If it makes sense at all for Seth Rollins to be the only way this makes sense is if Seth Rollins ends up taking the championship away from Jey Uso. That's the only way this makes sense. Now, some of you guys may go, well, wait a minute, Lee. What you just put out there, that doesn't make any type of sense whatsoever. Why would we take the championship off of Jey Uso? You yourself have been saying for months that if it doesn't make dollars, it's not making that sense, that common sense. Like, so why would you take the championship off of Jey Uso? I'm happy for Jay. And look, main event Jey Uso, the Jey Uso that was involved in the bloodline, all that good stuff. That was good. He really was coming of age when all of that was going on and everything. And if none of that ever materialized, then very likely what's happening right now with Jey Uso, it just would not come to be, without a shadow of doubt. But this current run as champion, it's pretty much lackluster. I mean, you take away the theme song, you take away the hand gestures, and then, like what else are you left with? We know this guy struggles big time on the microphone. I get Big Papa Rikishi. Hey, this is a world heavyweight champion. Why we got him with all these sidekicks? Because he is in that Seth Rollins first couple of world championship title reigns where he needs a supporting cast. He needs that proper rub off. He needs people to work with so that eventually he can get to that level, right? It's almost kind of reminding me per se. It's almost kind of reminding me of the early days of Roman Reigns. That's a really good argument that I'm making right there. I mean, really stop and think about it. As far as the promo stuff goes, Roman was leaving nothing to be desired. Sure, he had the look and all of that, but when it came to the promos, there was nothing to be desired. Yeah, he was moving merch, but probably not quite. That era, Roman Reigns, probably wasn't moving merch quite at the level that Yeet Jey Uso is able to move merchandise. Okay, so I kind of feel like Seth Rollins is maybe in a position where, okay, look, we're trying what we're trying here with Jay, but it doesn't seem like it's really working. Merchandise sales is up, but it just seems like he needs a little bit more time in the oven. So maybe we can get you to. That's how it kind of comes off to me. So that match, my whole point, that match on Monday Night Raw for the World Heavyweight Championship between Jey Uso and Gunther, that's going to be a very, very interesting match there because does Seth Rollins try to cash in that Money in the Bank briefcase? Like, here's the problem though. If you're WWE, like, this is why we're going on and on and talking about this. Because this is the stuff that you guys need to have in the back of your heads when you're getting ready to watch this show on Monday. If you have Seth Rollins come out on that Monday show and cash in the briefcase, and then conveniently Sami Zayn, CM Punk, they show up and then it becomes, what the hell? Where were these guys at Money in the Bank? You got to figure out a way. And if I can bend the ear of WWE, I'm going, you got to figure out a way you can, squash that fire. You got to extinguish that fire because that's some serious storyline continuity issues there. You're going to have a lot of fans going, well, why weren't they at Money in the Bank? So I think, honestly, and for those of you that's going, well, how do you take care of that, Lee? I think the most subtle thing that you do, if you are going to have CM Punk, Sami Zayn pop up, and it's like, well, what happened with Money in the Bank? Like, what happened with Money in the Bank, right? Simple. You go to the very next show. You have Adam Pearce run into Sammy and CM Punk. And you can have Adam Pearce say something along the lines of, hey guys, nice of you guys to show up for work. Some interesting stuff you guys did last week in that main event match there. And they go, yeah, how about that? And maybe you could somehow reference Money in the Bank by having Adam Pearce say something along the lines of, by the way, I'm really sorry we messed up your travel itinerary there. Maybe they got the wrong flight or something, some weird connection thing happened with whatever, right? And maybe that's why they weren't at Money in the Bank. But you got to somehow thread that fine needle and sew everything together. Because I promise you, if you don't think like that, the fans are going to be very, very critical about it. And they have every right to be. They have every right to be. There's definitely some major flaws in the Triple H regime of storytelling. You can definitely see that there are, a handful of things that, interest here, interest there, interest there. Everything else, I got nothing. We'll just wing it. That's how it comes off. And with what I saw tonight, the prelude for things to come for Monday Night Raw, I'm really, really nervous. I'm really, really nervous. That's not good. That is not good. By the way, speaking of Monday Night Raw, Nikki Bella is going to be making her return. That should be interesting for you Nikki Bella fans. By the way, for the people that's going, oh, she's old. Why is that 40-something-year-old woman returning? Like, how soon we forget. We just had Big E put out a really cool post that I've been an advocate for years and years in saying, look, whether you're a female wrestler or a male wrestler, in between, like whatever, if you can still go, you can still contribute, you're on top of your health and nutrition and everything. Like, why not keep on doing what you're doing? It's so amazing because I look at the Williams sisters before they pretty much drastically slowed down and pretty much retired. They were looked at for years. Even once they had hit 40, they were still looked upon as, wow, look at these girls. They're freaking beasts in what they're doing. They're tearing it up. I look at LeBron James and how he just continues to defy father time. Although, when you look at what happened there in the playoffs, he definitely, father time definitely caught up to him then. But still, like, these past couple of years with LeBron James, everybody's like, oh, and it's weird seeing the type of stigma that happens in the world of pro wrestling. It's really, really weird. When it comes to men that are wrestling in their 40s or 50s, we're getting, oh, that's cool. Good for him. Yeah, you go. But if we get a woman that's in her 40s, it's, oh, she's old. She's, look, not for nothing. Show me a 42-year-old woman or 43, 44, however old Nikki Bella is. Show me a woman her age. Not only did she make a kid, but she's out there and she, nice, finely toned up body, all that good stuff. Homegirl look like she can also still go. Now look, if you want to say, hey Lee, for me it's not about Nikki Bella's age. It's about the quality of her in-ring work. I was already never a fan of her in-ring work. I didn't think she really offered that much. I still feel that way now. I would say to you, okay, that is definitely a unique taste. Nikki Bella, she is definitely a unique taste when it comes to her style of wrestling. Wouldn't argue with you on that one, but we got to stop with the whole age stuff, seriously. But those are the things I'm going to be looking out for. Again, men's ladder match, great match, crappy finish, wrong person won, in my personal opinion. I put out a post on social media where I echoed this, and it's been picking up a lot of likes. I said, wrong winner, man. Knight, Americano, Penta, those were the guys to win and should have won. They was booked so wrong. Love Seth and what's happening with this new dangerous alliance, but the storyline inconsistency is an eyesore. To date, that's got over 40 likes. So that's what's going on with that one. Let's move on. We got one more match to talk about. Put a little pretty little ribbon on Money in the Bank talk. Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes. Jey Uso taking on John Cena and Logan Paul. Team of Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso defeating John Cena and Logan Paul. Cody Rhodes defeating John Cena with the Crossroads. 25 minutes. Getting a little bit of help, though, from one You Can't Handle the Truth. R-Truth, Ron, the Truth Killings, making his return in the final couple of minutes in the matchup here. We saw a masked assailant slide into the ring, and we're going, what the hell is going on here? And as we had saw a really sweet Logan Paul Asai moonsault from off the side apron, crashing into the table. What a killer spot that was. And he did that to Jey Uso, if I'm not mistaken. Rhodes rolls back into the ring, but Cena plants him with the championship, excuse me, while the referee is not looking. And right at that moment, a Max Man came in, attacked John Cena, laid him out, picked up John Cena's championship, waited for Cena to come to his feet, clocked him over the head. We're going, who is this masked assailant? And it's so funny because before it was revealed that it was R-Truth, I literally was seeing a piece of his back, and I'm going, oh, it's a brother. And I'm thinking, well, maybe it's Keith Lee. And I don't know why I just thought Keith Lee, but I automatically said, hey, Keith Lee. Hoodie comes off, little mask or whatever. Turns out it is R-Truth. R-Truth is back. And look, collectively, the entire wrestling community, myself included, we're like, WWE, WTF, if this is legit. And of course, my mindset was, well, look, there's a couple of weeks left. Like anything can happen. Maybe they can work something out. But I was on this very same show days ago, reacting to the news of R-Truth and his time in WWE essentially, pretty much it's over. And I told you guys, I say, look, it's a business move. And I know a lot of people don't like hearing that, especially those that don't really understand the inner workings and all of that. And that's not in regards to inner workings of a wrestling promotion, but just the inner workings of a business, like especially if you are your own boss and you are responsible for X amount of money that goes into your business. And you got to think about branding, you got to think about marketing, you got to think about people that you're gonna have on your team, that's basically your employees. You got to think about potentially health insurance, you got to think potentially about, right, tax write-offs and all of that. Like, there's a lot of people that's not thinking like that. And, like, we don't expect for a 13, 14, like somebody under the age of 18, we don't expect for somebody to be thinking like that. And if we try to educate them, it's going to go in one ear and out the other. It's going to be like a goddamn Peanuts cartoon. Like, one ear out the other. But for, someone past 23, 24, 25 and up, they're going to kind of understand what I mean when I always say, hey, it's nothing personal. It's just, it's from a business standpoint. But I felt way back then that, this crap that's going on with R-Truth, like, this is the dumbest, the merch that R-Truth has been able to sell, like, almost 20 years this guy's been with the company, and, you know, nothing but good things has been said about him. And, it's great to see that. Now, look, we're not quite out of the woods just yet. And I can't wait to watch the Money in the Bank post show. I would like to believe that Triple H Paul Levesque is being asked about R-Truth, and, if a new deal has been reached or if R-Truth is still on his way out the door. I'm looking forward to hearing that post show and hearing what Triple H Paul Levesque has to say in regards to that. And if it's a case where, he actually was legit on his way out the door, and no, we were able to work something out. And so it's going to be fun to see how this next chapter unfolds with Truth, who still, like, remember what I said to you guys. I said, look, when it's all said, at the end of the day, Triple H, Paul Levesque, Nick Khan, they pretty much, if they want to, they can step in there and they can, oh, well, wait a minute, wait a minute. And so I'm very, very curious to hear how everything mapped itself out and all that. But I'm glad that R-Truth is sticking around, at least for the foreseeable future. I don't know if a new deal was reached, but it seems that based on what we saw tonight, something is definitely still there between himself and WWE, where, hey, to be continued, right? That's the important thing. And definitely with the way things rounded about there between Truth and Cena, I mean, you got enough seeds pretty much being planted there where it's, hey, these guys, they're not done with one another just yet. So, all in all, decent Money in the Bank pay-per-view event. Not as good as, I'm gonna be honest, not as good as the Worlds Collide event. I gotta tell you, not as good as the Worlds Collide event. I'm just thinking about most favorite match from Money in the Bank and least favorite match. My least favorite match I think that's a no-brainer. But in case I need to say it out loud, definitely the Dominik Mysterio Octagon Junior match. That was my least favorite. Most favorite match. By the way, insane crap with Logan Paul and his little mini drone and how he was having that little mini drone. I like how he was able to catch it and stuff he was able to film. And then when he was doing the stuff on the top rope and how that backfired while he was still holding the drone, all that was insane. That was just insane. I loved it. I loved it. Uh I would say if we're talking matches, least favorite match, Dominic Mysterio, Octagon Jr. Most favorite match, I'm gonna go with the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Believe it or not, I'm gonna go with that one. Uh, cool shock factor of the night, all that. Obviously, everything with our truth, definitely with that. But other than that, man, definitely shocked me there with Naomi picking up the win too. Definitely the tag team match. I think that served John Cena well, but we really need to get back to, for the duration that he still is holding on to this World Heavyweight Championship, we need to get back to, okay, next man up. Who's going to try to take this championship away from the arms of Cena there? And it very well could be Cody Rhodes. Um, Interesting seeds that's been planted for Money in the Bank. Definitely seeds that's been planted for next week's SmackDown with a lot of the things that had played out here. Seth Rollins and him potentially cashing in. That's, I'm very, very intrigued by that. I'm also very intrigued by, if things were to somehow maybe backfire for Seth Rollins, do we see Seth Rollins make an appearance on SmackDown and potentially try to cash in on John Cena? That creates a very interesting dynamic as well. And a lot of things running in the head there as we get ready to go into the next batch of WWE programming when it's all said and done. But scale of 1 to 10, 1 being crap, 10 being awesome sauce, I am going to give Money in the Bank a. I can't go higher. I cannot, will not go any lower. I'm going to give it a 7. 7 out of 10. So yeah, Worlds Collide, which if you remember earlier, I said that was an 8 out of 10. I'm definitely looking at that one going, that definitely was the pay-per-view. That was the event of the weekend. All right, so some other stuff that we can get into real quick here while we're talking about Money in the Bank and everything. Let's see what you guys had to say. I did poll you guys earlier, not just about Money in the Bank, but I also asked you all, what did you think about WWE Worlds Collide? Put this up exclusively on Twitter, by the way. So if you want to vote, go over on Twitter. Right now, I'm seeing over 5% of you felt that Worlds Collide was an average show, while 94% of you all said it was an awesome show. Appreciate you guys that voted on that Worlds Collide poll. And I see for the Money in the Bank, y'all's thoughts on Money in the Bank. I gave you guys a nice little cool bonus option. 7% of you all said it was a below average show. 22% of you said you can't handle the truth. 33% of you felt it was a average show. And 37% of you said it was a awesome show. I'm leaning a little bit more towards average show. I gotta say, I'm leaning a little bit more towards average show for Money in the Bank. It'll be interesting to see, like, when we go to Monday's show, because I keep thinking it's Sunday, but it's not actually. Well, it's about to be Sunday, and but what I mean by that is I keep thinking it's Sunday night, and we're getting ready to go into Monday. So it'll be interesting to get a better gauge when we get ready to do the Monday night Raw post show. If I still feel the same about both pay per views, I don't think my opinion is going to change. Very seldom over the years have I come back here on the show and say, "Well," but it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see if my thoughts change on that. All right, so on that note, boys and girls, I am going to say, what did you all think about Money in the Bank? What did you all think about WWE Worlds Collide? You can definitely let me know throughout social media. Use keywords the RCWR show. If you want to shoot an email as well, you can do so. The RCWR show. Make sure you put the THE in there. The RCWR show at gmail.com. And I think what we'll do is between now and when we get ready to come back on Monday, I will gather up some messages and all of that, and we'll get into people's thoughts about what happened, what they thought about the event. I'd say we could get into it right now, but believe it or not, I have had a long, long day, and I've got some studies that I need to catch up on. So, because I got a lot of stuff due before midnight Sunday, so I definitely want to get the ball cracking on that one. But meantime, be kind, rewind, check out previous episodes you might have missed on demand and on the downloads. Wherever you get your podcast, just search the RCWR show. By the way, show the YouTube channel some love. I am on a roll, just uploading new content on a regular basis. A little bit of something for everybody. Earlier today, as a matter of fact, I was uploading a couple of things. So I think you guys will definitely enjoy that. So check it out when you guys get an opportunity. Follow me all throughout social media by using the keywords the RCWR show. And until next go round, my pretty babies, wishing all of y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. This has been your WWE Money in the Bank post-show review. Also, talking WWE Worlds Collide as well. I want y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. And I'll see you guys next go round. Adios, y'all, and take care.